Picture this. You're at a bustling airport gate, or maybe one of those painfully chic cocktail parties where everyone's trying just a little too hard. Most people are glued to their screens, faces illuminated by the blue light of their phones, desperately scrolling, swiping, or posting. They're chasing that fleeting dopamine hit of a new notification, a validation from the digital ether. Others are locked in performative conversations, voices a tad too loud, laughter a little too forced, their eyes darting around, assessing, comparing. But then you spot them. Amidst the cacophony, there's an individual. Maybe they're engrossed in a dog-eared paperback, completely lost to the world. Perhaps they're simply observing, a faint, unreadable smile playing on their lips, their presence exuding a quiet calm, an almost unnerving stillness. They're not frantically checking their phone. They're not desperately trying to network or impress. They just are. What makes this person so different? Why do they seem to hold a quiet power, an almost magnetic self-possession that others are so obviously and often desperately seeking externally? Here's the kicker, the uncomfortable truth we rarely voice. This individual, utterly comfortable in their own skin, not needing anyone, not craving that external pat on the head, is perceived, on some deep, almost subconscious level, as a threat. Now hold on, before you picture a Bond villain stroking a white cat, let's clarify. They're not a threat to people in the physical sense. They're not about to unleash chaos. No, they are a threat to a system, a societal structure, a cultural narrative, an economic engine that thrives, absolutely depends on your perpetual neediness, your insecurity, and your desperate desire for conformity. They are a quiet rebellion in a world that demands you constantly seek outward. Let's pull back the curtain on this social contract we've all implicitly signed. It's not written down, but its terms and conditions are blasted at us 24/7. Every advertisement you see, every influencer's perfect life splashed across your feed, every algorithm designed to keep you scrolling, every piece of consumer culture is meticulously engineered to whisper, or often scream, the same insidious message. You are incomplete. You are not enough. You need this product, this experience, this online course, this relationship, this validation, this specific brand of happiness to be whole, to be worthy, to be accepted. Think about the relentless pressure. The fashion industry dictates what's in, implying your current wardrobe is out. The beauty industry profits from your perceived flaws. Tech companies create an illusion of connection while often fostering deeper isolation, making you dependent on their platforms for a semblance of community. The self-help industry, ironically, sometimes feeds on the idea that you're perpetually broken and in need of fixing by their specific method. The result? A pervasive, gnawing fear. The fear of missing out, FOMO, that distinctly modern American affliction, keeps us tethered to our devices, terrified we'll miss some crucial update or experience. The pressure to conform, to fit in, to have the right opinions, the right lifestyle, the right curated online persona leads to a gradual erosion of our authentic selves, a muting of our own inner voice. We start chasing likes as if they're a currency for self-worth, measuring our value by the number of followers or the perceived approval of strangers. We become cogs in a machine that runs on our engineered dissatisfaction. This isn't accidental, it's by design. A population that constantly feels lacking is a population that constantly consumes and complies. But what if there's an escape hatch from this matrix of need? What if the keys to unlocking genuine self-possession have been lying around for centuries, offered by thinkers who saw through the societal charades of their own times? Let's turn to two titans, Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, and Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher who urged us to become who we are. Imagine being the most powerful man in the known world. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, commanded legions, ruled vast territories, and held the fate of millions in his hands. Yet where did he find his true strength? Not in the adulation of the crowds or the trappings of power, but in the quiet solitude of his own mind, in his private journals, later published as meditations. He famously wrote, "All cruelty springs from weakness." This wasn't just an observation about others, it was an introspective insight. True strength, he realized, is internal. It's the ability to remain undisturbed by external chaos, to govern oneself before attempting to govern others. Stoicism, at its core, is about building an inner citadel, a fortress of tranquility and reason within yourself that cannot be breached by the turmoil of the outside world, by misfortune, or by the opinions of others. It's about focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your reactions, your character, and accepting what you cannot. This philosophy doesn't advocate for suppressing emotions, but for understanding and managing them with wisdom and virtue. For Aurelius, solitude wasn't loneliness, it was a necessary space for self-examination, for aligning his actions with his principles. Centuries later, Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher whose ideas were as electrifying as they were controversial, echoed a similar sentiment, albeit with a more radical edge. The individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe, he declared. If you try it, you will be lonely often, and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, or overman, often misunderstood, isn't about achieving godlike power over others, but about overcoming oneself, transcending societal conditioning, herd morality, and self-imposed limitations. He challenged us to question the values we've inherited, to examine whether they truly serve our highest potential or merely keep us tethered to the comfortable mediocrity of the crowd. His famous imperative, "Become who you are," is a call to authentic self-creation, to forge our own moral compass and live by our own highest values, even if it means standing apart. What's the crucial link between the Roman emperor and the German philosopher? Both understood that solitude, purposeful, mindful aloneness, is not a deficiency but a crucible. It's the training ground for independent thought, for the cultivation of inner resilience, and for the discovery of one's authentic self. It's in these moments, free from the noise and demands of the external world, that we can truly hear our own voice, question our assumptions, and forge the strength to live authentically. This is where true self-discovery happens, where the seeds of dangerous independence are sown. So, what does this dangerous independence, this self-reliant mindset, actually look like? It's not about being a hermit or antisocial. It's about cultivating an inner landscape so rich and resilient that external validation becomes secondary, a bonus, not a necessity. This kind of individual stands on 4 foundational pillars. First, there's radical self-awareness and unflinching honesty. This is the bedrock. It's the courage to look in the mirror and see yourself as you truly are, strengths, weaknesses, fears, desires, biases, and all, without sugarcoating or self-deception. It's about engaging in the kind of rigorous self-examination Marcus Aurelius practiced nightly. What did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What are my true motivations? This isn't about harsh self-criticism, but clear-eyed, compassionate honesty. For the American audience, in a world saturated with curated self-images and pressure to project perfection, radical self-awareness cuts through the noise. It empowers you to make decisions aligned with your true self, not societal expectations, leading to greater authenticity and a profoundly liberating sense of knowing thyself. You stop outsourcing your identity. Second is an unshakable self-worth, independent of external validation. Imagine a sense of value that isn't tied to your job title, the number of likes on your latest post, or whether someone approves of your life choices. This self-worth emanates from within, an inherent belief in your own dignity simply because you exist and are striving to live a principled life. Your emotional well-being isn't held hostage by fleeting opinions. For Americans, this is the antidote to the comparison trap and the relentless pursuit of external accolades. It frees you from the anxiety of keeping up with the Joneses, allowing you to pursue intrinsically meaningful passions and goals, building true confidence, not bravado. Third, we find intellectual courage and independent thought. This is the willingness to think differently, to question obvious truths and inherited beliefs. It's about cultivating a curious and critical mind, seeking diverse perspectives, and daring to form your own conclusions even if they go against the grain, embodying the spirit of Nietzsche. For the American audience, in an age of information overload, intellectual courage is a superpower. It enables innovation, creative problem-solving, and the ability to discern truth from manipulation, empowering you to become a leader in your own life. Finally, there's emotional resilience and self-regulation. Life throws curveballs. This is the capacity to navigate challenges without becoming overwhelmed or dependent on others to fix your feelings. It's the ability to self-soothe, find your center, process difficult emotions constructively, and bounce back from adversity, cultivating that inner citadel. For Americans, this fosters grit and resilience, highly prized values. It reduces chronic stress, improves mental health, and enhances your capacity to cope, making you less reactive and more thoughtfully responsive. When an individual cultivates these pillars of self-reliance, they become dangerously empowered. But dangerous to whom and in what way? Consider this. Someone who is radically self-aware knows their own mind. Someone with unshakable self-worth doesn't need your approval. Someone with intellectual courage won't blindly accept what they're told. Someone with emotional resilience can't be easily swayed by fear-mongering. This person becomes remarkably difficult to manipulate. They don't buy things they don't truly need, swallow ideologies wholesale, or follow the crowd simply because everyone else is doing it. This threat is primarily to systems built on need and conformity. To an economic system thriving on endless consumerism, the self-reliant individual is a poor consumer, valuing experiences over possessions. To a political system relying on simplistic narratives, the independent thinker is harder to sway. To a social system prizing conformity, the person defining their own values challenges established norms simply by existing authentically. Crucially, this danger is not to other individuals. In fact, the genuinely self-reliant person is often a source of profound inspiration. Their centeredness and authenticity can remind others of their own untapped potential. Think of the great innovators. How many were conformists? Very few. Their dangerous independence was the wellspring of their transformative contributions. They are the ones who ask why or why not, and then dare to find the answers. Herein lies a beautiful paradox. The person who truly doesn't need anyone often becomes the most genuinely attractive. When you encounter someone complete in themselves, radiating inner peace, there's an undeniable magnetism. They aren't clingy, they offer their presence from abundance, not scarcity. This authenticity is incredibly appealing. This self-reliance revolutionizes connections. Friendships become deeper, chosen because you genuinely enjoy someone's company, not out of fear of being alone. Romantic relationships become healthier, based on conscious choice and mutual growth, not dependency. Professional collaborations become more effective as you focus on contributing meaningfully, not just seeking approval. The goal isn't isolation, but authentic connection built from strength. This path to dangerous self-reliance isn't about an overnight transformation. It's a journey of small, consistent steps. Ready to dip your toe in? Let's consider some practical first actions. You could start with what might be called a 15-minute rebellion, a daily digital detox and mindful solitude. Dedicate just 15 minutes each day to being completely unplugged. No phone, no laptop, no TV, just you and your thoughts. Sit quietly, walk in nature, or simply observe. It might be uncomfortable at first, but this is where self-awareness begins. Another step is to engage in a weekly audit by questioning one inherited belief. Pick one belief you hold about success, relationships, anything, and ask, where did this really come from? Does it genuinely serve me? Just questioning is powerful. Then work on building your inner compass by defining one core personal value. Beyond societal pressures, what truly matters to you? Integrity, creativity, compassion? Identify one and think about one small way to live more in alignment with it. And throughout this journey, practice what could be termed the kind warrior approach. Self-compassion, not self-criticism. You'll stumble. When you notice ingrained patterns of seeking external validation, treat yourself with understanding. Self-compassion is fuel for resilience. Let's redefine dangerous. In this context, it's not about being a menace. It's about being dangerous to stagnation, manipulation, and superficiality. It's dangerous in the sense of being radically free, powerfully centered, unshakably authentic, and completely unapologetically yourself. It's the danger that a truly liberated mind poses to a system that prefers you asleep. The world isn't starving for more followers or conformists. The world is desperately crying out for more independent thinkers, courageous creators, compassionate rebels, individuals who have done the inner work to stand firmly in their own truth. It needs you, fully awakened, authentically alive, and courageously self-reliant. Dare to cultivate that inner citadel. Dare to question. Dare to define your own terms. Dare to be dangerous. If this resonated deep within you, if it sparked a flicker of recognition or a call to something more, please share it with someone who needs to hear this permission to be themselves. You know who they are. Drop a comment below. What's one societal rule or expectation you're feeling ready to question or consciously break free from in your own life? What does dangerous living, in this positive, empowering sense, mean to you? How can you start embodying it today? Let's start a revolution of authentic self-reliance, one dangerous individual at a time.